Greetings to you and welcome to this episode of Grace Podcast. I'm Timothy Muse. I'll be your host as we spend this time together today. It's a joy to be with you. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for making this podcast a part of your day. And I certainly want to continue to thank you and celebrate you for being on the journey of bettering yourself, of growing and expanding. It is so awesome that you're here. It is so awesome that you're investing in yourself, that you're looking to grow and expand and find new areas and avenues of your life that need attention and energy. If this podcast is helpful, please share it out there. Put it out there in your social media feeds. I post on LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and Facebook. If you follow me or the Grace Life Coaching on any one of those feeds, you're going to see these episodes. If you're on one of the listening platforms, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music, follow us. Give us a rating and review. Every positive rating and review tells the platforms that people are listening, and you'll get notification when a new episode comes out. And if you want to reach out to me directly, GraceLifeCoaching.com is a website. I truly would love to hear from you. GraceLifeCoaching.com. It would be a joy to be able to connect and converse and see where we can go. If you want to do a little coaching, if you got some questions, if you just need a little bit of realignment, I'm here to help. So reach out to me. I would love to see what I could do to come alongside you in your life and offer you some help and some encouragement and some growth in whatever area of life you're looking to expand. We come to the final episode of our journey through spring and what this season can teach us and what, preparing for spring and, creating a mindset of journeying through waiting and renewal and growth. And you've traveled this entire season with me. You've traveled through this. You've been here on all of it. You've learned the purpose of waiting, embracing emotional winter, clearing out that old soil, training your mindset for expansion and building good habits, planting seeds, weathering storms, nourishing your early growth, and trusting the unseen process. And now we arrive at the moment all of that preparation has been leading us towards spring. And it's not spring on the calendar, but it is spring meteorologically. March 1st is the meteorological spring, which I didn't know about until just recently. So we really are entering into this season of spring. It has arrived. The season is unfolding, and it's a season of momentum and clarity and new life. And that's really what spring brings us, is that momentum and arrival and clarity and new life. And so here we are. So let's step into this new season together. Let's step into this new arrival together. We often want to think that spring begins the day we witness visible change, when we see the first flowers or the first warm breeze or the first burst of color. But that's not true. Spring begins the moment the ground knows growth is coming. And that's the mark of spring. The ground knows that growth is coming. That's when spring happens. And nature responds. Nature responds to the light before it responds to the arrival of warmth. Plants begin to change internally before they begin to bloom anything externally. And the same is true for you. Spring starts with awareness. It starts with readiness. It starts with that internal shift long before external results are there. And you're already carrying the signs of spring within you. Courage that wasn't there a year ago. Habits that didn't exist before. Hope that perhaps has returned after a season of not sure. Strength that matured quietly. Boundaries that grew roots. Maybe you have a calmer mind or a clearer vision or a new identity forming. Spring has already begun in you. You've been traveling through this, and now it's time to claim it. Now it's time to step into spring. Now, stepping into spring is not about doing more, my friends. It's about aligning who you are with who you want to become. It's about aligning your current place with who you're becoming, about moving forward into that. And that requires new decisions and new courage and new behaviors, new emotional maturity, new levels of responsibility, new willingness to be seen, a new openness to possibility. Growth isn't passive, it's participatory. And there comes a moment when you must breathe deeply and say, I'm ready. I'm ready for this. Not perfectly ready, no, not fully prepared, not without fear, just ready enough to take the first step. That's really the thing. You can think about it all the time, but until you take that first step, until you take that initiative, it's just all thoughts. Spring carries a unique momentum. After months of roots growing underground, after a quiet winter, after slow energies and emergences, suddenly things accelerate. You begin to gain clarity, feel emotional energy, experience new opportunities, reconnect with motivation, sense movements, feel aligned, and see results. Spring is the season where everything you've been preparing for begins to activate. And here's the essential truth. Spring rewards those who participate in their momentum. Spring rewards those who participate in their momentum. Momentum doesn't grow by observation. It grows by engagement. You've got to engage. You've got to activate. Now, let's be honest. Whenever we do something new, there's always a little bit of fear. Whenever we engage in something we haven't engaged in before, there's always a little bit of fear. There's always those questions that may needle in the back of your mind. Can I handle this? What if I fail? What if I fall back into old patterns? What if the growth doesn't last? What if I'm not enough? Those are natural questions. Those are natural questions whenever we start to stretch ourselves. And spring being a new season, it will always stretch you. When you're stretched, you will always ask those questions. But the presence of fear does not mean the absence of readiness. Fear is not a stop sign. It's a signal. It's a signal that says you're entering territory that matters. You're entering a place that matters to you. If you feel fear in this time, even just a little bit, what it does is it means the season is significant. Fear is an indication that what you're doing matters, that there's significance to this. So move anyway. You are more prepared than you realize. You have done the work to move already. You're more prepared than you realize, even with the presence of fear. Fear is not something that should stop you. It should be a signal that says you're entering territory that matters. And in order to overcome that fear, in order to deal with it, we shift our mindset. We want to shift our mindset towards spring. We want to shift our mindset and understand why that fear is there. I'm stepping into a season of growth with intention, and this is going to create fear. Those are important things, to be able to anchor yourself in things that help you overcome that fear and keep you moving forward. Yes, maybe I'm a little bit afraid, but I'm stepping into a season of growth with intention. I trust the work I've done beneath the surface. I welcome opportunities that align my future. I move forward even when I feel nervous. I honor the season I'm becoming ready for. Say those out loud if you can. Spring responds to spoken intention. New growth, new seasons respond to us moving forward into them with spoken intention. We want to be intentional about who we are becoming. And intention requires us to speak openly and affirm it. Intention requires us to be positive and speak life into it and be intentional about it. That's where we want to go. That's how we overcome that fear and move with intention. And it's so important. It's so important. And when you reflect on spring, when you reflect on the signs of spring, we want to ask what's appearing in your life already. What's already there? Perhaps maybe you have more confidence. Perhaps maybe you're entering into this season with more confidence than you did before, or a clearer direction, where you're going. Maybe direction was an issue. Maybe you have better boundaries than you did before, or you're setting better boundaries. Perhaps maybe you're crafting healthier habits or emotional steadiness. Perhaps maybe you have a calmer nervous system. Perhaps maybe you're seeing new opportunities that you couldn't see before because you couldn't see the growth of spring. Or maybe you're healing in relationships, or new levels of respect, or a return of creativity. These are not coincidences. This is what happens when you've done the work. You've been walking through this with me. This is the work that happens underground. These are the sprouts. These are the proof. Your growth is arriving. And that's really what spring is all about. When we start to see the first buds come up and we start to see the new life, it just doesn't happen overnight. There's been a lot of work underneath, and you've been doing that. So you want to be aware and be able to acknowledge and accept when spring appears in your life, when these new things come along, that you're ready for it, that you can do it, that this is actually what you've been longing for and working towards throughout this season. Your growth is arriving, and not by coincidence and not by accident, but because you chose to do the work to get yourself here. That's the powerful point. You chose to do the work to get yourself here. And these are the things that are showing the work. And it can be a little uneasy. When we start something new, of course, it brings unease and fear. But this is the work that you've been longing for. This is who you want to become. This is the arrival of who you want to be. So let's talk a little bit about how we can step boldly into this new season. We don't want to just kind of lean into it or fall into it. No, we want to step boldly into it. So here's a couple of things that can fully embody spring energy for you. The first one is to say yes to alignment. Who do you want to become? Anytime that you come across something that is aligning with who you want to become, say yes. If it aligns with your growth, say yes. Even if it's outside your comfort zone, or even it's something that doesn't really, you don't really feel comfortable about it, or you don't really feel that maybe it's the best thing. If it aligns with your growth, say yes. Okay? Say yes. And say no to distractions. So it's a yes, no. So the first thing is say yes to alignment. What you're aligning to be, say yes to those things that align with it. And say no to distractions. Not everything deserves your time anymore. And not everything deserves your energy like it did before. Say no to those things that are going to draw you away from your pattern, your growth, your intention. Say no to those things that are going to help you step boldly into a new season. Will this cause some disappointment? Maybe a little bit of hurt? Yeah, it probably will. Like I've said before, when we change, the system we've been in wants to draw us back to who we were before. So saying no to distractions, it might cause a little bit of unease, but you are becoming something new. You are advancing. So say yes to those things that align with who you want to become, and say no to those things that distract you. Even if saying no to those things that distract you, say, no, I'm not going to sit here and scroll. No, I'm not going to sit here and engage in comments or dialogue with this person or that person about things that I no longer care about. Move quickly on small opportunities. When small opportunities arrive that may come into alignment with your goals, move quickly on them. Don't overthink them. Don't spend time weighing all the pros and cons. Big stuff, yeah, you want to make sure that you spend a good amount of time thinking on. Small opportunities, move quickly on them. Move quickly on them so that you can continue to align and work. Move quickly on those things. Momentum needs activation. So small opportunities that are aligning with your growth, move quickly on. Protect your energy. Protect your energy. Spring can bring overwhelm if you let in too much. Okay, particularly if you're trying to live into old patterns and new patterns. Protect your energy. Protect your being. Again, you are looking to grow and move. So part of that means protecting yourself. Protecting where your energy goes, protecting where you're going to give your energy. And a lot of that, again, comes back to how you scroll, where you spend your time, what you let into your life, what you let into your being. So protect your energy. This is not selfish. Well, actually, it is selfish, but selfish is okay. I'll say this. Selfish always gets this negative connotation that we can't be selfish. We have to be selfless. No, we can be selfish. When selfishness dictates and hurts other people, that's different. But we are allowed to be self-focused. We are allowed to protect our energy. We are allowed to protect our schedule. We are allowed to protect our thoughts. We are allowed to protect our interactions. So protect your energy. Learn to be a little selfish in that. And celebrate the growth you've earned. Celebration is fuel for continued progress. And you've earned this. This hasn't come because it just fell into your lap. You did the work. You did the digging. You did the examination. So celebrate that. Don't treat your new season casually. It's fine. It's all good. No, celebrate it. Treat it with respect. You've worked for this. You've prepared for this. You've waited for this. And here you are. And how incredible is that? So celebrate it. Celebrate your growth. Even if you celebrate it in yourself, even if you don't celebrate with anybody else, celebrate your growth. Celebrate how far you've come. That doesn't mean that you stop. It just means that you acknowledge how far you've come. You've acknowledged that you were at point A and now you're at point B. You've worked for this. You've prepared for this. You've waited for this. So celebrate it. Celebrate where you're at. As you're embracing this new season, I would encourage you to create a spring manifesto, a one-paragraph declaration of who you are becoming this season. Sit down and take a piece of paper and a pencil, and I would encourage you to write it out with a piece of paper and a pencil. I know we have a lot of word processing and a lot of typing stuff, but there's something powerful about sitting down with a piece of paper and a pencil and write it out. Write yourself a paragraph. Include the questions. What am I stepping into? What am I leaving behind? What am I ready for? What am I choosing? What am I committing to? What am I believing for my future? And what am I opening my life for? Write it out. Read it daily. This is the way that you continue to grow. Write it out. Read it daily. Let it anchor your direction. Where do you want to go? What are you stepping into? What are you leaving behind? What are you ready to do? What are you choosing in this? What are you committing to? All of these things are important. What do you believe about your future? You know, if you're leaving your future up to chance or circumstance, then it will be taken care of by chance and circumstance. What do you believe about your future? What are you opening your life to? What are you opening the possibilities to? What are you opening your hands to the possibilities for? If you can direct that, if you can write it out and anchor yourself in it and read it daily, then you start to look for it. Here's the thing. Our brains are incredible things. I've talked about this before, but we see what we're looking for. If we're looking for fear, we see fear. If we're looking for mistakes, we see mistakes. If we're looking for possibility, we see possibility. So write down who you want to become and then read it and look for it, and you will see it. Will there be distractions? Yes. Will there be other things? Yes. But when we train our brain to look for the growth and the possibility, we will see it. So write it down. Read it daily. Let it anchor you in who you want to become. And that way you will become it. You will grow into it. You will create it. You know, as we come to the end of this series, it's awesome. It's been really a joy to do it. I want to speak directly. You have grown. You have grown. Not in loud, dramatic, social media post kind of ways, but in deep, meaningful, foundational ways. You've walked through this. You've listened. You've experienced. You've questioned. You've become more aware. You've become more grounded and more patient, becoming more intentional and more resilient and more hopeful and more aligned. It's awesome. You've built the roots. You've planted the seeds. You're enduring the storms. You're nurturing beginnings and you're trusting the unseen. Now it's ready to bloom. Now you're ready to expand. Spring is not a reward, my friends. It's a partnership. You and your growth rise together. As you step into the new season, remember, you're capable, you are prepared, you are strong, you are becoming. And the world is ready to receive what you have been creating within yourself. Thank you for walking with me through this entire journey. May your spring bring you clarity, courage, energy, and new beginnings that reflect the work you've done in the quiet places. Be well. Thank you. That's what I have for you today, my friends. If it is helpful, please share it out there. Put it out there on your social media feeds. If you're on one of the listening platforms, then follow us. Give us a rating and review. And if you want to reach out to me directly, GraceLifeCoaching.com is the website. I would really love to hear from you. GraceLifeCoaching.com. Because at Grace Life Coaching, we want you to be the best you.